opened up the door to my bedroom, as you shouldn't have to either. Opened up the door to my bedroom for everybody to come in, chime in, and make their opinions about what we do and don't do or should or shouldn't do. But I will say this, whatever we ever have done, it's been done with consensual.
This wasn't just a medical scare. It looked like a horror movie unfolding in real life, with every leak, every rumor, every shocking update hitting the internet like dynamite. The pain only grew louder.
Yes, that's right. Lawyer Tyrone Blackburn is going to authorities, asking and encouraging state and federal prosecutors to start a criminal investigation into T.I. and Tamika Harris, aka Tiny, on behalf of 11 accusers.
Tiny, King's mother, completely collapsed in the hallway, her screams echoing through the hospital as nurses struggled to hold her up. That gut-wrenching breakdown was caught on camera and spread instantly across social media, leaving millions of fans in tears. Hashtags like #PrayForKing and #JusticeForKing, Harris shot straight to the top of worldwide trends within minutes.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing about reality, it's all real, it's all natural, but some things are, you know what I'm saying, some things are needed for the climax and the rising.
But then the story twisted into something far more sinister. A leaked medical report claimed King's wounds didn't come from a random jailhouse brawl. Insiders swore his body carried marks of calculated torture, cuts and bruises too precise, too cruel, too deliberate to be explained away by fists or kicks. This wasn't just violence, this was a message. Somebody wanted King broken, maybe even erased forever. And then came the leak that froze the country. An eerie audio clip. A prison guard's voice whispered through the static. The order came from above. We just cleared the way. That single line turned the internet upside down. Who gave the order? Who wanted King silenced so badly that his beating looked like a staged execution? Fans, bloggers, and conspiracy hunters pointed fingers in every direction, from rival gangs to old industry enemies to powerful figures deep inside politics and the prison system. Whispers even suggested this wasn't about King at all. This was about shutting down the Harris family for good. And just when it seemed the nightmare couldn't get darker, another explosive rumor hit the web. A supposed ICU CCTV clip hit the internet like a bomb, allegedly showing masked men sneaking into King's hospital room in the dead of night, tampering with his life support machines. If that footage is real, it means King wasn't even safe inside a hospital surrounded by doctors. Forces bigger and darker than anyone imagined were moving against him, and they wanted him gone. Outside, Atlanta was boiling over.
Him being arrested isn't really like the shocker, it's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, it just, he just don't.
Protesters, fans, and family lined the streets, candles glowing in the cold night air as they chanted, "Protect King." Some prayed with shaking hands, others demanded justice at the top of their lungs.
Walk out, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Grief and rage mixed into an electric storm of emotions that the city hadn't felt in years. Inside the hospital, T.I. himself looked like a broken man. The confident star was gone, replaced by a father pacing the halls, his hands trembling, his voice cracking as he begged cameras. "My son is being targeted like he's some kind of enemy. He's just a kid. Please, someone stop this madness." That raw plea instantly went viral, pulling waves of support from some and cold, ruthless comments from others claiming it was karma for T.I.'s past. The internet split right down the middle, half rallying behind the Harris family, half mocking their pain, turning a private tragedy into a global spectacle. And then came the footage no one was ready for. An anonymous source claimed to have CCTV from inside the hospital showing two hooded figures creeping into King's ICU around 2:47 a.m. One crouched near his bed while the other stood lookout at the door. The clip cut off before showing more, but the implications were chilling. Someone was actively sabotaging his recovery. Nurses whispered about outside interference, saying even within hospital walls, King's life wasn't safe. One whistleblower nurse even revealed King's ventilator mysteriously shut off for several seconds earlier that night before alarms blared, and the footage of that exact moment vanished from hospital records. Was it a coincidence or a full-blown cover-up? Nobody knew, but the internet went wild, accusing powerful players of erasing evidence and silencing King forever. Meanwhile, the Harris family's heartbreak spilled into public view. Tiny was filmed sobbing so hard outside the ICU doors she nearly collapsed, crying out, "Don't take my baby! Don't take him from me!" Her desperation sent shockwaves through millions who watched online in disbelief. T.I., unable to hold back his rage, allegedly punched the walls, screamed at doctors, and accused the hospital of hiding the truth, covering up what he believed was murder. Witnesses said his fury was so explosive that security had to step in after he smashed a chair across the floor. Those images spread instantly, painting him not just as a father fighting for his son's life, but as a man waging war against a system he believed was trying to erase him. And then the story took an even darker turn. Leaked whispers claimed King's blood tested positive for foreign toxins, substances not linked to the jail beating and nowhere near his prescribed medication. Fans around the world exploded with outrage, convinced this wasn't a fight gone wrong. It was a targeted attack fueled by serious power. Outside, the protests spiraled out of control. Demonstrators clashed with riot police guarding the hospital doors, tear gas filled the air, and Atlanta's streets turned into a war zone. Social media lit up with live streams capturing every fiery second as thousands watched the city erupt in fury over King's fate. By sunrise, this was no longer just about one teenager fighting for his life. It had become a global war of narratives. Some swore King was paying for the sins of his father, while others pushed the theory of an industry conspiracy, an organized plot to silence him before he could expose secrets too dangerous to speak. Every rumor, every leak, every scream from the ICU blurred the truth further, leaving the world gasping for answers. But one fact stood undeniable. King Harris was trapped in a storm far bigger than himself. A storm with the power to shatter not just his family, but the entire music industry. And as dawn broke over Atlanta, the nightmare grew heavier. King's condition slipped from critical but stable into something far more terrifying. Doctors whispered about organ failure while nurses rushed from room to room with trays of emergency drugs. Each desperate beep from the machines strapped to his fragile body felt like a hammer slamming into his family's hearts. At 5 a.m., T.I. and Tiny were pulled into a private room and told the words no parent should ever be forced to hear. "If we don't see improvement soon, we may have to discuss letting him go." That one line shattered the Harris family like glass. Tiny collapsed again, screaming so loud that staff said her cries shook the entire floor. Witnesses claimed she fainted on the spot and had to be treated herself. A secret recording of that exact breakdown leaked online, flooding millions of feeds and turning the internet into a river of tears. People didn't just see grief. They felt it, raw and unfiltered, like the entire world was watching a mother lose her soul in real time. But just when it seemed nothing could get worse, another confidential report leaked, this one suggesting King's bloodstream carried traces of a mysterious substance that didn't match any treatment his doctors had given. Analysts quickly ruled out common drugs, hinting that this wasn't just a medical crisis, it was sabotage. Somebody had tampered with his IV line, sneaking poison into his system while he lay defenseless in that bed. That revelation detonated online, sparking hashtags like ICUB breach and protect King Harris as fans demanded answers. How could the son of one of hip-hop's biggest names, a high-profile patient in one of Atlanta's busiest hospitals, be left so vulnerable? People asked across every platform. Within hours, anonymous accounts dropped yet another clip. Supposed used CCTV footage of two hooded figures creeping into King's ICU at night. One bent down near his bed, while the other stood guard at the door. The footage cut off before showing what happened next, but the message was loud and clear. Someone didn't just want King hurt, they wanted him gone. They weren't stopping at the jail walls. They followed him straight into the hospital. Outside, the chaos was just as wild. Fans and protesters packed the streets, chanting, crying, and holding candles as the storm over King's life grew darker and louder by the hour. Some held candles, others clutched signs screaming, "Justice for King." The air outside the hospital was thick with tension, chants echoing through the night, helicopters circling above, and police in full riot gear trying to hold the line. The hospital no longer looked like a place of healing. It looked like a war zone. Reporters swarmed the scene, their cameras catching every scream, every argument, every tear as the Harris family's private pain was blasted worldwide. Inside the chaos, family tensions erupted. Tiny's relatives reportedly pointed fingers at T.I., accusing him of bringing a curse on the family with his past lifestyle. T.I. snapped back, yelling, "This ain't karma, this is murder!" That heated exchange, caught on camera, went viral instantly, pouring more gasoline on an already raging online fire. The internet split deeper than ever. Half convinced King was an innocent victim of a dark conspiracy, the other half cruelly insisting the Harris family was paying for old sins. Then another chilling leak, dropped like a bomb. This time not from guards or nurses, but allegedly from a high-ranking official tied to Georgia's prison system. In a muffled phone call, a voice delivered the words that froze everyone. "If the boy talks, everything collapses. He can't leave that bed alive." That single sentence set the internet on fire. Suddenly, this wasn't just about King being attacked because of who his father was. Fans now believed King was sitting on a secret so explosive, powerful people wanted him silenced forever. Red-eyed and broken, T.I. doubled down outside the hospital, telling reporters, "My son is a victim of a system that would rather silence him than protect him. This ain't no accident. This is planned." His statement split the internet even more, some standing firmly with him, others mocking him and claiming he was using tragedy to gain sympathy. But whether people believed him or not, one fact was undeniable. The story of King Harris had become a full-blown international scandal. The Harris family was trapped in pure hell, and the entire world was watching. Inside the ICU, the horror only deepened. A whistleblower nurse risked everything to reveal that King's ventilator had mysteriously shut off for several seconds in the dead of night before alarms went wild. But when staff checked the security footage from that exact moment, the files were gone, erased like they'd never even existed. Coincidence or a deliberate cover-up? Fans didn't hesitate. They screamed cover-up. Social media exploded into a storm of conspiracy threads. Some swore this was mafia-style revenge. Others claimed jealous rappers orchestrated the setup, while a louder crowd insisted the government itself had its fingerprints all over it. Theories spread like wildfire. But one thing nobody doubted, King Harris's life was hanging by a single fragile thread. Then celebrities started weighing in, making the storm even bigger. Cardi B went live in tears, saying, "That baby don't deserve this. I don't care what y'all think about his daddy. Pray for King, man." Her plea broke millions. And then Snoop Dogg poured gasoline on the fire, cryptically warning, "The industry ain't what it seems. Protect your kids. Day after all of us." His words sent chills racing across social media, as if confirming the darkest fears fans already held, that something much larger, much darker was moving in the shadows. Meanwhile, the hospital turned into a fortress. Security was tripled after protesters tried storming the entrance. Police lined the perimeter in riot gear, and the entire building looked less like a hospital and more like a battleground, with King Harris's fragile life sitting at the center of it all. Inside, doctors grew more desperate by the hour. They whispered terrifying phrases like multi-organ failure and irreversible damage, cold medical words that crushed the Harris family's souls. One insider even claimed I completely lost control, punching walls, screaming at doctors, shouting, "Don't tell me to let go. You're lying. You're not doing enough." His rage reportedly terrified patients and staff alike. but it also showed the world how shattered he truly was. Meanwhile, Tiny clutched King's hand so tightly that nurses had to pull her back, her knuckles white with fear. Neither parent budged from his side, even as doctors warned that the next few hours would decide everything. By morning, social media drowned in unverified leaks, each one scarier than the last. The most shocking? A claim that King had been declared clinically dead for nearly 2 minutes before doctors shocked his heart back to life with electric paddles. If true, it meant the Harris family had already watched their son die once, only for him to be dragged back from the brink. That revelation sent fans into a frenzy, sobbing at the thought of a mother watching her child slip away in real time and speculating whether someone was deliberately keeping King trapped between life and death. By noon, what began as a private tragedy had exploded into a global scandal. The crowd outside the hospital swelled from hundreds to thousands, chanting louder, crying harder, demanding justice as helicopters thundered overhead. Atlanta looked like a city under siege. Inside, T.Y. and Tiny refused to leave King's bedside, even as his fragile body showed more signs of shutting down. Doctors gave them the same soul-crushing warning: prepare for the worst. When that phrase leaked, it went viral instantly. Number sign, prepare for King, shot to the top of worldwide trends. Millions of fans posting prayers, videos, and desperate pleas for a miracle. But along with the prayers came darker whispers. People insisted this wasn't fate. It was a plot carefully orchestrated by powerful hands, determined to finish what began in that jail cell. King Harris wasn't just a teenager clinging to life anymore. He had become the centerpiece of one of the darkest, most controversial sagas the rap world had ever seen. By nightfall, Atlanta stood on edge. Grady Memorial Hospital looked less like a place of healing and more like a battlefield. Riot police blocked every door, helicopters circled low, and thousands of fans packed the streets holding signs and candles, chanting, "Justice for King!" The world wasn't just watching anymore, it was demanding answers. Inside, the air was suffocating. King's condition crashed to rock bottom, lungs failing, kidneys shutting down, every passing hour dragging him closer to the edge. Doctors whispered the most devastating words a family could ever hear: prepare for the worst. When that phrase leaked, it ripped through the internet like lightning, fueling a tidal wave of panic so massive that #PrepareForKing shot straight to the top of worldwide trends. People weren't just posting prayers anymore, they were begging for a miracle. And then came the most shocking claim yet. King Harris had allegedly been declared clinically dead for 2 whole minutes before doctors shocked his heart back to life. A whistleblower insisted the team had to hit him with electric paddles twice just to restart his pulse, painting a picture of a young man already dragged back from death's grip once. That revelation shattered fans, some sobbing uncontrollably, others swearing this wasn't just fate. They believed someone was deliberately keeping King trapped in a cruel dance between life and death. The Harris family's grief exploded into open war against the hospital. Witnesses said T.I. snapped after learning his son's heart had stopped, storming into the ICU hallway and screaming at administrators, "If my son dies, I swear the truth will come out. Y'all think this is medicine? No, this is murder." The questions multiplied while the answers stayed buried in the shadows. Every leak, every scream, every whispered rumor feels like just the opening act. Behind the curtains, darker secrets are lurking, ready to explode and shake not just Atlanta, but the entire world. The only question is, when the next bomb drops, will King survive this nightmare? Or will the Harris family be forced to face the most devastating loss of all? Only time holds the answer. But one thing is undeniable. This story is far from finished. It's shaking the culture to its core, and the world will be watching every second as the chaos unfolds.